Our race winner today is still finishing his Penn TV interview, so we're going to crack on with second and third place finishers Max Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel. Well, Max, coming to you, great performance by you all weekend, and so much rested on that strategic call. Were you tempted to pit as well?
Well, it wouldn't have made sense because I would have been behind then. So then, the race is lost anyway. So the only option for me then was to continue, and that's what we did. And yeah, of course, at one point I started to run out of tires. I think trying to keep up with Lewis's pace on those medium tires, trying to keep it within a second was almost impossible. So I ran out of tires, and of course, you can see it coming. So for me, it was not a big disappointment once he passed me because, it was just a normal thing to happen. But anyway, we have to be realistic, and he was just clearly faster today. Always, I think I was struggling a little bit more for grip than him. And yeah, he could keep the pressure on. And of course, when you're in second, you can gamble to do a two-stop. For me, it was all about always trying to cover him or stay ahead. And with the two-stop, worst case scenario, you stay second, and best case, you overtake me. So that's what they did today. But yeah, then we pitted at the end as well. Of course, happy to then do that fast lap. It's still 1 point. Hopefully, the end of the year it will matter. But let's see.
And when you were on the same tyre compound, how much did you relish that battle with Lewis?
So, yeah, I think on the start, like the first tyre, I think he never really had a shot. So we were still competitive in the last sector. Then when we got onto the hard tyre, also with the traffic, that's because of that he had a few goes at me because I couldn't do my normal lines in the last few corners, and he caught up with that. And then of course with the defending, I tried to do it as good as I could. Luckily I could stay ahead, and then he had to manage his brakes and engine a bit. But you could see clearly once that was sorted, he closed the gap again. But I think if he would have stayed on that one stop, I think I could have kept him behind. But yeah, once he's on the medium, then it's going to be really hard.
Okay, well done. Thank you, Max. Sebastian, coming on to you. Strategy played a significant part in your race as well. How tough was it to get the distance on that first medium set of tyres?
Well, very tough. I think they were in very poor condition at the very end. But, I was happy we tried. Obviously, we tried to hang in there. I think we stayed out another 10, 15 laps after Charles pitted, so just to try and do something different, maybe hope for a safety car. But to be honest, by then, obviously, the top two were sort of gone anyways. So it was really for the sake of trying something different, which obviously looked very distant to ideal when we had the stop and I came out. But then I just tried everything I had and got one chance in the end. And in the end, it's not a big deal, third or fourth, or for the team is still the same. I think the big picture today is that we were not quick enough and not able to follow them right from 2 laps into the race.
Okay, let's open this to the floor now. Please remember to give your name and publication. First question, please.
Christian Mehnert, motorsportmagazin.com. Question for you, Max. Usually Red Bull is quite good in the race pace and not so good in qualifying pace. Do you have an explanation why it was the other way around this weekend? Was it because of the Friday that was a bit weird?
No, I think then you can see how much margin they still have when they really need to push. Well, I think Lewis today was on fire as well. But then you see, once he really has to go for it, you can see that car is still the dominant car. It's as simple as that. Whereas in some races, it's maybe not as necessary. If we are honest, of course they had their issues in Austria with overheating, so then you can't push. Of course in Hockenheim it was tricky conditions as well, so you can't really drive to the limit of the car. But here today I think you had to go for it like flat out, because I was also pushing flat out, and then you can see what they are capable of as a team.
Thanks, Max. Next one.
Flavio Netti, Corriere della Sera, to Sebastian. Seb, given a hotter temperature, did you expect more from your car? Is it an hard step back in the performances?
No, no, I think temperatures were fine. I think it was quite warm. The track was near 50 degrees as well, so I don't think so. I think we saw our limits yesterday. We got a confirmation today, so I don't think it's a step back. I think we had some bits. It was a small step forward, but what it shows is that it's not enough. So I think it's important that the mood inside the team remains positive, which is the case. I think everybody knows what we're lacking. Obviously, we're very competitive in the straights. Also yesterday, 6-7 kph faster at the end of the straight compared to Red Bull and also Mercedes. But obviously, we're losing quite a lot in the corners. So there were some tracks where efficiency is more important. This is a track where inefficiency pays off. So whatever you have in terms of downforce is positive. And that's where we're lacking performance in the race. I think it shows even more because you're sliding. Then I think we're going through the tires faster. So not to our advantage. We've seen that as well in recent weeks. So in a way, it's not a surprise. But as I said, we need to keep our head down and do the work.
Thank you, Sebastian. Lewis, thanks for joining us. Quick question to you.
Just up.
Can you just give us your thoughts when you were 19 seconds behind with 20 laps to go?
Well, firstly, Max really drove a sensational race today, and as he has done particularly the last few races. I think today was, when we came out, when I was behind him on the hard tire, it didn't look like he had really particularly great pace. I don't know if he was managing to get to the end, but I had a lot of grip, and I was thinking I could definitely make this tire go to the end because the first one I got to go quite far, and the team said we're going to a two-stop, and I was thinking, how is this going to work out? I'm going to come out quite far behind, but you have to put complete faith in your team because they have a different viewpoint to you. So we did the stop and it came out on the mediums, and I was like, geez, I don't know if these are going to go the distance at the speed that I'm going to have to go. And then all of a sudden Max turned up the engine mode, and they started doing mid-19s, and I was thinking, I don't know if I'm going to close this gap. And it started I think the trajectory was, they said originally that I was going to catch him with 9 laps to go, and then that changed super quick and went to last lap. So after that, I just had to put all doubt and all question marks out of my mind and just go for the best laps I could do every single lap in consistency and not dropping at any time whatsoever. And so I had one of the most consistent period of laps that I think I'd had, and all of a sudden, I don't know if you had traffic or whatever, mistakes, whatever, but the gap started to chop down quite quickly, and I think with 4 laps to go or 5 laps to go, I had him 4 seconds ahead, and I could see him in my sights, so maybe struggling with his tires. And so after that, I was like, okay, we've got a serious race on here. And but yeah, it felt like the steepest kind of wall to climb when you come out that far behind. But the team had relaxed faith that we'd do it, so I'm grateful for their hard work and the decision.
Thanks, Lewis. More questions, please.
Stuart Codling, F1 Racing. Question for Max. You said just now that we saw how much margin Mercedes have. That notwithstanding, you had a brilliant race today. How much confidence does that give you that you can come back after the summer break and take the fight to Mercedes?
Well, I think there are a few tracks coming up which are maybe not as ideal for us, but of course we know we have some updates coming soon to the car and the engine. So hopefully that will again bring us closer. We'll find out then.
Thanks, Max. Next one.
Charles Richards, The Guardian. Can you hear this? Yeah, there we go. Question for Lewis. Congratulations, Lewis. After what happened in Germany, does this feel like a redemptive special win for you and for Mercedes to come back so strongly?
I generally don't like to look at redemption, or if that's the right word. Naturally, I don't really make a lot of mistakes, and I think the last one was definitely a massive off weekend for me. And so this weekend, these 2 weeks, the team have been really great and supportive and taking off the workload, allow me to recover and really just giving me the best support group possible to take any extra pressure off. And coming into this weekend, I felt like I was back on it, and then qualifying didn't go the way I'd planned and I'd hoped. And so yeah, and then today, obviously, once I got into second, I was like, okay, game on. We're in a position where and I could keep up with Max, no problem. So I was like, we've got an actual real race on here. How is it going to play out? I don't know. We're going to have to figure it out as we go along. And obviously, we both know where we're going to strategy-wise. And yeah, I mean, I truly believe that I could get by him at some stage. But, we're also fighting in the different points of the championship. I think if we were level on points, today would be even a more aggressive battle, I would say, in the wheel-to-wheels that we did have. But obviously, we didn't need to take extra risks today. So I think Max was really fair and great with where he positioned his car. I just always made sure I just gave extra particular space just in case. But of course, going into the break, this is a great uplift for the team, particularly after a difficult weekend for us all in the last one. So all the guys back at the factory, big thank you. And the guys here with the strategy. I think they're very, very calm when they talk about the strategy like that today. No, I truly believed you could do it. For sure, they were nervous as hell that it wasn't going to work. But I think collectively we made it happen, so it's good.
Thank you. Next one.
Luke Smith, Crash.net. Lewis, congratulations. We saw that battle you had with Max through the middle of the race. Could you talk us through that? And how much do you enjoy these wheel-to-wheel fights with Max? And how nice is it that he's stepped up and Red Bull have stepped up this year, so you're fighting with him on a regular basis?
Yeah, I mean, it's really fantastic to see Red Bull's progress. Obviously, we're in a period of time, particularly this track has been a track that they've always been particularly fast in previous years. And it's really awesome for Honda as well, just to see their progression. And they've got a lot of power in that engine. So don't for one second think that I think when they give us I think we all get it, but the timings where we all lay out, the Red Bull will quicker us on a single lap this weekend. And we thought we were relatively level in the race, but we were just able to keep up with them and match their times. So I think it's going to continue for the races to come, even the fast circuits that the engine's going to be great in Monza. So we hopefully we'll see this battle continue for the rest of the season. And fingers crossed also Ferrari will take a step back towards us at some point over the next races. But yeah, going to the break, this is awesome.
Thanks. Next one.
Vladimir Говец, Беларусь сегодня. Thank you very much, guys, for a very good job, for a very nice race. I am really happy to be here. My question to Max. Max, how do you feel here close with 9 championship titles? How do you feel close with 9 championship titles?
We have 9. Right. I don't know what to say. Yeah, I have none. So I don't know what to say on this. What to comment on this. I still have a few years, hopefully, in F1. So hopefully, one day I can add one. But yeah, that's it. I think.
Okay, thank you. Next one.
Easily Vigorico, F1.com. Max, at the beginning, you were only 2/10. The average is lower than Lewis. Then from the lap is 61, 62, 63, then more than 2 seconds. So the tire disappeared completely. And Sebastian, in spite of you said to us that...
In what? In?
In spite of, you said to us you didn't expect much from the team here before coming. But did you expect more than 6 seconds The difference between you and the winner? The difference? You arrived more than 1 minute after the winner.
Max, let's start with you. So,
Yeah. I think it's quite normal, you know. Lewis was on a medium tire, pushing flat out, of course, to catch up, and I was on a hard tire, trying to go flat out, but trying to keep the gap. But yeah, I was always trying to keep it within a second, because then I knew, okay, we can get to the end. But at one point, the tires were gone. So yeah, I started losing 1.5 seconds a lap, and then at one point, 2 seconds, we're just sliding, and yeah, you feel the rubber is gone. So there is not much you can do. Yeah, it's quite normal when you have to push that hard on the tire late in the race, where you normally don't want to push as hard on a tire. So I guess it's quite a normal progression of the tire drop-off.
thank you. Sebastian?
Well, I think, you know, some tracks, you know, maybe suit you, some maybe less. But despite that, I think I was fairly open-minded, and, you know, you don't want to accept that. So I tried everything to prove the opposite. But looking now after yesterday and today, we simply didn't have the pace of those two in particular. So yeah, there's obviously work for us to be done. We have room to improve in the corners is where we're lacking. With that, obviously, comes the advantage on the straight. One goes with the other. But for sure, if we could make a trade, then we would go for it. But yeah, we've been, you know, adding small bits to the car this weekend. They were working, but obviously not big enough to really get close on a track like this. There might be tracks coming up next, especially with Spa and Monza, that might be better for us. But you know, in the end, our ambition is to really force things to happen, be in control of the race, and where we are now, we're quite far away from that. So yeah, I think the spirit is good, though. The team is willing to give everything they have, continue to give everything they have, and that's all we can do right now.
Thank you. Next one.
Tom Jackson, City Press. Question for all three of you. The lack of meaningful running we saw on Friday afternoon went some way to us seeing the variation in strategy that we did today that allowed you to put on fresh tyres and go for the win and things like that. Would you in the future be happy to have less running earlier in the weekend as drivers, getting less track time, if it meant we got more unpredictability later on Sunday?
Lewis, why don't we start with you?
I never really thought of it, but I mean, if it can help with racing, sure. I think this weekend, not many people, I don't think the Red Bulls did a long run. I don't think you guys did a run. We did a long run in P1. I think I'm one of the only few, one of few that did. I don't know how much difference that made. It's just that we did have a little, you know, we had an understanding of how far we thought we could take the tires, but somehow the other teams are able to do something similar with their strategy. So, but yeah, I don't know. Would you think it would make a difference?
No, I actually like driving, so it would be quite bad to get rid of some. I don't think it's a lot of driving anyways. We do a lot of races, but overall I don't think we drive very much. So it would be a pity. I think if you want to address the racing, then there's other things to focus rather than, you know, adding or taking away a practice session. So
it definitely does help when you go into a race and you don't know how far the tire is going to go. That is quite, I think that's not a bad thing. And I think that can add to the spectacle. If you put on a medium tire or a hard tire, you don't know how far it's going to go. None of us do. It definitely makes it a little bit more questionable, the strategy. So I think I understand what you're saying, but we've got bigger problems, fish to fry with the way the car's designed and those kind of things, I think, for future.
Max, your thoughts?
Well, I think anyway, this year already quite often you go in the race on a tire which you haven't driven on in practice because you only select one. I think it's not bad. I like sometimes also a bit of a challenge of not knowing what's happening. I mean, the problem is most of the time you put that tire on, even, you know, if the balance is bad, it's hard to pass even for the guy behind. So I think it's more about the following where we need to work on. I think if the guy's faster behind, he should be able to get by. So that's all in relation with the tires as well. Sometimes, of course, on purpose, we don't select the hardest compound more than once because that's mandatory. Because even if you stick it on without any knowledge, you can stay ahead. Just get to the end. So yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot. Next one.
Phil Duncan, PA. Hi, Lewis. Lewis, a lot will be made about the strategy decision today, and obviously rightly so, because it was a great call. But Max earlier said that you were on fire today. So how highly do you rate your individual performance over those last 20 laps or so?
Well, it was definitely it was definitely a really good day today. I think today clearly, once we got into second, I knew that me and Max were going to have a good race. Did I know I was going to get by? Honestly, I was able to keep up with him. I was able to hold on to him for, within the 2-second gap. And I was just trying to see whether I could make my tires go longer than him and just kind of really studying him, I guess, really from behind, seeing how that was going. And then he started to drop a little bit off the cliff at the end. And it's really all about trying to make sure you're in the right place at the right time. It's not easy to follow 2 seconds behind. And also I had the brake problem as well. So I had to change my driving style quite a bit to enable this brake to go down in temperature. So it means just doing a lot less braking and much, much shorter bursts of braking. And then in a lot of other places, half the other lap, I wasn't really touching the brake. So it really changes the balance of the car as well. So, I'm really proud of how I was able to delegate and work throughout that, and collectively with the team, did a really exceptional job. It'll be interesting when we go back and talk about the 2-stop, because this morning we talked about the strategy and they said 2-stop was not going to happen. And even when we called to do a 2-stop, I was like, geez, I don't know how this is going to work. And I think it was a gamble is always a good thing. It felt like a big gamble for us. But, and at the time, I felt like I had the pace on Max. I think, as I said, because I think it was back, I don't know if he was backing off, he was just controlling the pace. But I felt like, okay, I'm going to have a few attempts at trying to pass him, but at some stage the tire's going to go off. So I don't know how many attempts that would be. So, and I really don't know how long I'd make those mediums go, but I think it was just collectively between, a really bold, risky kind of strategy call, and then just doing the job. At the end of the day, I had to do those laps to chew out the gap that he had on me. So I think collectively as a team, we did a really exceptional job.
Thank you, Lewis. Next one.
Peter Vamos Racing in Hungary. Sebastian, congratulations that you will become father again, and with maximum respect to your personal life. Can you tell us, are you waiting with Helena, boy or a girl? And if a boy, would you be happy that if he would choose your job as race car driver?
Well, I don't like to talk about my private life, so thank you, but I think we leave it there.
Okay. Next one, please.
Daniel Mayer, gphírek.hu. Question to all three of you. Now the summer break has started. The first part of the season is over. So could you please rate your own performance from 1 to 10? 1 is the worst, 10 is the best, and explain shortly that why you give yourself that mark.
Sebastian, let's start with you. 5?
Yeah, not happy with the first half. I think I struggled here and there to really get on top of the car. I think we've been trying a lot of things, so fair enough. Obviously, we wanted to squeeze out more, so you're always looking for more, but I feel I can do a better job in the second half. And 5 is my number, so take 5.
Lewis.
That's the first half of the season, yeah.
How do you rate your own performance?
I'd say like 8.9, 8.8.
Go 10, man. Let's go for it, Who cares?
If it wasn't for the last one, it would be a little bit, last race, it would be a little bit higher there. But I think the good thing is always to score yourself a little bit lower, so you've got margin, you've got more to work on for sure. It's been the best start of a season that I think we've ever had as a team, and I think it's one of the best seasons that I've had personally to start off. But there are areas, of course, that we can continue to work on. That's the great thing about this sport, you know. It's just no matter how many years and days you race, and there's always areas that you can improve on. And so let's see if we can try and up that into the 9s or the high, or try to get to a 10 in the second half of the season.
Thank you. Max?
I don't rate myself in numbers.
What do you do instead? In letters or?
No,
do letters.
I hate putting a number on it because it reminds me of school as well. So, which is not that long ago. No, I think I'm always quite critical, and I think it always can be better. I'll never be satisfied. So, yeah, I think it's been very positive, and I've had good results. But yeah, there are always things to work on. So.
Okay, thank you.
What?
Any more?
Give yourself a number, man.
No, I don't.
We did it too.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. I think it's, first of all, I cannot rate myself. Like,
why not? You've done a good job, man.
I know, but I don't know. I find it a bit weird to say a 9 or an 8, or you know.
Lewis, how would you rate Max if you gave him a number?
I don't remember all the races that you've done. I mean, the last 3 or 4, you could say he's in the high 9s. You'd say the last few races, but I can't remember how it went before those.
I've had a lot of Ford, well, P3, I think then 3 times Ford.
I think it's been a really strong season.
P5, P3, P4. I have too many P3, P4.
Yeah, I don't.
And then, yeah.
It's easier to rate yourself because you often remember how many mistakes you've made when you've done good, when you've kind of been under par and those things. Don't know when he will know whether he's been on par or below par. Or I think today he drove exceptionally, as he has those particularly the past 3 or 4 races. So if that continues, he's going to continue to operate in the high 9s towards 10s. But nobody's perfect.
You think it can be a 10? I don't think it
I
can
think
be
no
a
one's
10.
ever perfect.
No, it's never perfect.
It's like an impossible number to get
9.9?
Yeah, I think it's a hard one to get to.
Okay, let's move on. Next one.
Daniel Horváth, Paddock Magazine. Luis and Max, Fernando Alonso praised your performance on social media. It seems he enjoyed the battle as well. Would you like to see him back in Formula One and race against him again?
Who's that question to, sorry?
Lewis and Max.
Lewis and Max.
Well, firstly, that's really awesome that he's supportive. I was just actually watching some of the restarts, the starts of previous years, and watching him from his Renault days. And I remember just before he even got to Formula One, watching how amazing their starts were. And I don't know how old Fernando is now, but he's always going to be a great driver. And if he can get a good seat, he's always welcome here to battle with us. It doesn't make a difference really necessary for me. I'm here to fight whoever's here. So,
Max?
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a shame that I never had an opportunity to fight against him in F1. So yeah, it depends.
Could be a good teammate for you.
Fernando? Well, you've experienced with it, I don't know.
Yeah, we also
You got along. Huh? You got along.
No,
to Christian.
Well,
Could be your father.
it could. Yeah, it's close. Yeah, I know. He's a young father, though. How old is he? 36? 38. Okay, well, 17 is possible to be a father.
You're talking of experience, or?
No, I'm not. Jeez. At least I don't know.
How old are you now?
21.
Jeez.
Many years. Plenty of years. You're 30.
I like being in this room because I'm not the oldest.
34?
You know, but I'm 34. Yeah, I need
34.
Till the day we get beat by somebody who's born 2000 and upwards.
I
then
know, freaking heck.
It's time.
Yeah, I'm not that young.
Exactly. So you're still
Sebastian,
fine.
final thoughts. May as well get your thoughts on Fernando. Would you like to see him back?
I don't mind. I don't know why. I don't think he never really liked me. I don't think we really had a problem. Yeah, I don't mind him. I think I respect him for what he achieved and for what he can do on track. So I don't know. I guess he's bored if he has time to write these things. But so bring him back. I don't mind.
Maybe he's a social media manager. You don't know. No, he's actually good. Well, to me, he's always been very nice and good. And I like that he is also now looking into other opportunities for racing. And he just loves racing and he wants to win. He wants to be competitive. So it's good to see.
The sport needs the best drivers in the best seats, you know, and there still is at least a seat available that's good enough for winning, and he's good enough for winning, so it wouldn't be such a bad
Maybe
thing.
you can speak to Toto.
Well, Valtteri's great, so Valtteri's been winning, so you're the one with the extra seat, I would say.
All right, no, I didn't say that.
I'm not sure Japan is happy though.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you for a tremendous race today. Have a good break.